Since starting to make these TikToks, I've interacted with several of you out there that have EDS or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I wanted to make this little video for you guys. So I hope you enjoy. First up here is Mr. James Morris. He could have had his own COVID mask. He was born in New York in 1859 and could stretch his skin out about 18 inches, it's reported. And he made a living touring with the Barnum and Bailey Circus. He's quite a dapper gentleman, isn't he? You know, today's social media and talent shows that you see on TV, they feature people that have this condition and this degree of flexibility in the skin quite often. But in 1900, it wasn't that common, and you actually had to go to a so-called freak show to see this kind of stuff. And this is Mr. Felix Worrell, who also toured with Barnum and Bailey. He was born in 1858 and made a pretty dime showing off his skills. One of my favorite stories of people with EDS is Niccolò Paganini. They called him the devil's violinist or the demon violinist. Although there are some differences of opinion on if he had EDS or what's called Marfan's, most people believe he had EDS. Niccolò was such a rock star in his day, he has been called the violin virtuoso's violin virtuoso. How's that? He was truly one of the first superstars of music. Niccolò was so limber he could stretch his thumbs across the back of his hands and then wiggle the middle joints laterally back and forth like a bunch of little metronomes. His EDS allowed him to be capable of playing 3 octaves across 4 strings in a single hand span. I'm not a musician, but my friends who are tell me that's a damn near impossible feat to do. He could also use the bow with his right hand and pick the strings with his left, and it made a sound like 2 violins were playing at once. I don't know if any Paganini's recordings have survived to this day, but I've seen people do his pieces on YouTube, and they're incredible. I can only imagine how this guy sounded in person. He was so damn good that many people thought he'd sold his soul for these unnatural gifts. And Paganini really leaned into these rumors and embraced them. He held concerts in the cemetery at twilight, and the name of his pieces were things like the Devil's Laughter and the Witch's Dance. And he really, like I said, leaned into this. He'd wear these long black frock coats, and his white face was said to just kind of appear spectrally above him. I can't help but think this guy was the original Marilyn Manson or Ozzy Osbourne. Because of his rumored association with the devil, the Catholic Church denied him a Catholic burial when he passed away. His family schlepped his corpse around Europe for a number of years, at one point even leaving it at a leper colony, until they found out that the caretaker had a side hustle going where people could pay him to come look at the devil's violinist, Niccolò Paganini's decomposing body. At one point, he was kept in a cement tub so people couldn't get to him, at a place where they would press olives for olive oil. 36 years later, though, the Catholic Church allowed him a burial within his faith. If you enjoy these types of stories, check out The Violinist's Thumb by Sam Keane.